Okay, so we'll start with the AWS Cloud course. So most of you are already aware, but still will cover what is cloud computing. Okay, so earlier, if you remember, or still we know that if in most of the companies, okay, we buy the servers, right? We buy the servers, then we buy software for it, an operating system for it, okay, then we install it, okay, and suppose we bought that server for installing some or provisioning some operating system and installing some softwares on it. That was an application server, okay, and you're working on it, and after some time you need one more database server. So what you will do is you'll buy one more server, okay, and that procuring that server, okay, installing some software on it, operating system on it, and then installing database will again take suppose 3 months, okay. So you need to wait for 3 months to get a new server, install something on it, okay, and again after a few days if you need one more server, then again you'll have to wait for 3 months, and lot of manual efforts are wasted there, okay. So nowadays what people do is they do not buy the first servers, the you can say bare metal servers are not bought. What they do is they just go for some servers in the cloud, okay. So delivery of computing services, not only services, some other servers, storages, databases, networking, some analytic softwares, intelligence, okay. So delivering of those computing services over network, okay, in a in terms of economies of scale means it can be easily scaled up and scaled down. Scaled up means suppose today I need 5 GB of RAM and only 6 GB of RAM and only 4 CPUs, okay, that's fine. But tomorrow if I need more, I can easily scale up to 8 CPUs, 12 GB RAM, okay, that is scaling. And if the load is less, we can even scale down, okay, that's the scaling, okay. So delivery of the computing services over the network is cloud computing. So in cloud, what happens is we do not need to buy the servers, install anything on it, just buy the cloud server, okay, and start using it, okay, and pay only for what you use, okay. We do not need to pay for everything upfront, okay. So that is cloud computing. So what are the benefits? We do not need to invest in the hardware, and if we have some physical servers, okay, we also need to maintain it. This is the traditional way. In traditional computing, we need to invest in the hardware and the maintenance, but in cloud computing, the cloud provider will maintain the hardware and work on its maintenance. And cloud computing, even with suppose we have a startup, okay, we do not have a budget for buying the large servers and all, and we do not know in future how many servers we will be needing. So what we will do in cloud computing, we will buy some servers in cloud, okay, and we will pay only for the usage, okay, which is required. Now suppose my work is done, so I can shut it down. So if I shut it down, the cloud will not charge us, okay. That means pay as you go or pay only for what you use, okay. So what are the applications, means what is the example of cloud computing, what we can achieve? So hosting application on some cloud servers like AWS, Azure, Google, okay, instead of maintaining the physical servers, that is cloud computing. And uh, we can get the servers on demand, okay, with one small click, okay. Scalability means we can anytime scale up or scale down, okay, and it is cost effective, okay. We can stop the servers when it is not in use, and it will save a lot of money for us. That is the cloud computing. So what are the benefits of cloud computing? As I said, we pay only for what we use. So usage based billing is there. Okay, we do not need to maintain the hardware. Okay, then we do not need to pay for upfront charges, pay only for what we use. Okay, so we do not need to maintain a server rack in our on-premise infrastructure to deploy the server, to install the means to have a server rack and servers in that. Okay, then even we do not need to worry about the power. Okay, electricity, UPS and backup and all. Okay, it is extremely flexible. Okay, scalable, we can scale up or scale down. Okay, and we do not even need to worry about buying some licenses for the servers and software which we use. Everything will be taken care by the cloud provider, and it also improves the agility. So we also need to learn about cloud hosting. Okay, so what is cloud hosting? So earlier also people were giving some servers on rent, even still these things exist. Okay, so if you want, we can buy a dedicated server. Okay, from it will be stored somewhere else, we just need to connect to it and use it. That is a single physical server for one user on application. It is high performance because the whole physical server we can use, that is the dedicated server. We can get it, still we can get it for many data center providers are there, many service providers are there. We can buy a physical server, it will be at their location, we just need to pay for it, we'll just connect to it remotely. That is a dedicated server. Then came shared hosting. So if you know, the dedicated server, all the resources will not be used always. Okay, so people, what they do is they share the resources. Okay, that is called as shared hosting. So multiple users or multiple companies using will be using that dedicated server, but they won't come to know that it is a shared server. So it is affordable, but it will have limited performance because the same server is used for everything. If any other client uses most of the CPU and RAM, okay, then there will be performance issues. Okay. Then market also comes up with VPS, okay, virtual private server. So in virtual private server, you can also consider it as today's AWS and all. Okay, but some virtualization concept is there. We'll learn more about it later, but you can consider it as a total proper operating system is there on VPS. It is also shared. Okay, but not the OS. OS will be different in VPS. Okay, so that is VPS server. They are also cost effective as compared to shared hosting. Those who cannot buy dedicated server, they go for VPS. Okay, so you can say it is also an OS, the shared OS, but with some dedicated resources only for you. Okay, then now we have come up with cloud hosting, that is AWS, Google or Azure. It is highly scalable. Scalable means scale up and scale down, just now I've explained, and we can pay only for what you use. Okay, so this is how the evolution of cloud hosting has happened. Okay, so nowadays most of the people and companies are preferring cloud hosting. So even the computing we can segregate in the same way. So dedicated servers. Okay, earlier we used to buy physical servers, now also some people buy physical servers. Okay, then we have the virtual machines. We'll learn about the difference between virtual machine, physical server, containers and all, okay, soon. So now we all are also using virtual machines. So the same server, physical server, will have a virtualization software installed on it, and it will have multiple VMs with multiple OS, and you'll get a proper machine to work on it and to save your application, to work on your applications. Okay, now even the VM resources we can utilize wisely. Okay, that is using containers. So what we do is more normal is we buy a physical server, we install virtualization software. Okay, and then we create VMs on it, multiple OSs on a single physical server. And nowadays even on this VM we can install some containers. They are lightweight, portable, and scalable. Okay, so you must have heard about Docker and all. So those containers are Docker. So here also VM is required, or we can also directly install it on a physical server. So a container runtime is required. So Docker is one of the container runtime. And the last one, nowadays people are also using functionless, serverless, that is functions. So what happens is, if there is no need of hardware. Okay, actually we do not manage it. That is managed by the cloud provider. We do not even have to create a VM or a container. Just run your code directly. That is called as serverless. Though the server exists to the end user, it is just serverless. He doesn't need to manage, means, or create an OS or apply or install application software on it. They can use it directly, use it for deploying the applications. So we'll also learn some serverless, okay, like AWS Lambda, App Engine and all. Not App Engine, especially Cloud Function. Now the same thing I'm explaining here, the evolution. So physical servers are also called bare metal. Then came the virtual machine, the containers, and functions. Okay, so you all know that we first buy a hardware or a physical server. On top of it, we install an operating system. Okay, after installing our operating system, suppose it is a Java, we need to apply a Java. Means we need to install some Java softwares, or we are developing application in Java, so that our language runtime we have to install. Then we can have an application container on it, and then we do our coding, and store our code. So and in terms of virtual machine, we do not need to worry about hardware. Okay, we just get an VM. On that we'll install operating system and all these things. In containers, we don't even have to worry about operating system. We do not need to install the operating system. We can directly run our containers and code. Okay, and in functions or in serverless, we do not need to even worry about the application container. We can directly work on the code, and in AWS we'll be achieving this using AWS Lambda. Okay, so there are various cloud providers. Okay, they can be categorized in three tiers: tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So the first one is global providers. They are AWS, Azure, and Google. They are the three market leaders. There are many services and resources available in AWS, Azure, and Google, but there are some other regional providers with specific focus areas. Okay, so that is Alibaba Cloud and IBM Cloud. Okay, they are not as vast as AWS, Azure, and Google, but they are also good. That is Alibaba and IBM. And some local providers. Okay, so for catering the niche markets, they are DigitalOcean and Linode. I don't know if you have heard about it, but even for our learning purposes or for small projects, we can use DigitalOcean and Linode. DigitalOcean and Linode both are also very famous, even famous than Alibaba and IBM. Okay, so these are very cheap as well as compared to AWS and IBM Alibaba. So what are the cloud services which we can use in the cloud? One is compute. Compute means virtual machines, okay, serverless computing, or containers, that is the compute. Okay, and we can if we need some storage, like you know that we use Google Drive most of the times. Okay, that is also one of the object storage. Similarly, some object storages or file storages, NFS you can say, that is also available in the cloud provider. Then if we need some virtualized networks inside the cloud, that also we can achieve using VPC. And what is content delivery network, CDN? So it improves the performance of the application, how we will be seeing later. Okay. And if we need some databases, there's also we can get relational and non-relational, that is NoSQL databases are also provided by cloud services. And there are many other analytical, AI, ML, all those services are also available in the cloud. Okay, so there are various types of cloud computing. First is software as a service. Okay, as the name suggests, we just get the software directly. We do not need to worry about anything else. If we need some software, we can use it. So Gmail and Salesforce, that is an example of software as a service. This is also a type of a cloud. Okay, we are using to we do not need to install anything on our on premises or on our laptop. We can directly use that software as a service. Then a platform as a service is also available. Okay, so mostly for the developers to build the applications. Suppose they directly need to use the platform. So examples are Heroku and Google App Engine. Okay, even AWS has a application engine. And infrastructure as a service means we can directly create our virtual machines as well there. So virtualized computing resources over the network, that is infrastructure as a service. So AWS, EC2, Azure virtual machine, these are the examples of infrastructure as a services. Okay. So there are some computing deployment models also available. So we just segregate those like public cloud. Okay. So AWS, Azure and GCP, these are public cloud providers. Okay, and some private cloud providers means they are not available over the internet fully. And example as VMware and OpenStack. Okay, and nowadays there is a lot of demand for hybrid cloud, means combination of public and private cloud. Okay, that is hybrid cloud. So AWS, Azure, all have even Google have hybrid cloud. If you need their services on-prem, that is also possible. So AWS Outpost, Azure Arc, and GCP Anthos. Okay, these are some hybrid clouds available. And they also have nowadays, people do not want to go for only one cloud. Okay, and they do not want monopoly of a single cloud, and they do not want that they are biased for a one particular vendor. Okay, there shouldn't be a vendor lock-in. They should, to avoid vendor locking, people are also using all the three clouds. Okay, alternatively, or you can say some part of AWS, some part of Azure, and some part of GCP. Due to some reason, okay, they do not want to continue with AWS, they can go for Azure. So that is cross cloud. Now, as this is AWS cloud course, we should know about what is Amazon. So as the name suggests, AWS is Amazon Web Services, and it is one of the uh, earlier they started with online bookstore. Okay, then they started doing some e-commerce and digital streaming, artificial intelligence, and cloud computing as well. So actually it is an online retail platform, but now they are also into cloud services. Okay, you must have heard about Prime, Amazon Prime, Kindle, and many other services are also provided by the company called Amazon. It was founded by 1994 by Jeff Bezos. Okay. It started with online bookstore, but now it is in most of the technical stuffs as well, like AWS. And AWS is Amazon Web Services. Okay, it is one of the uh, widely used cloud computing platform. It provides various types of services, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, even as a even software as a service. It gives our cost effective cloud computing resources which we can even scale up. It gives an high availability infrastructure for us. Okay, so many companies are using it. Netflix, Airbnb, Slack, these are the companies, some famous companies which are using AWS. Okay, and it was started in 2006. It has various data centers all over the world. Okay, even though it is a cloud provider, okay, we directly use the services which we need at the back end. They maintain a large data center. Okay, so various computing resources we get from those data centers, but we are directly not involved in maintaining it. Okay. So there are various AWS services. So some of them I have segregated in this table. Okay. So for compute, we have EC2. EC2 you can consider it as a VM. Okay, for storage we have AWS S3, then Amazon VPC, Virtual Private Cloud. For databases we have Amazon RDS. Some of the DevOps services are code deploy, code pipeline, code build, code star. Okay, then for machine learning also, there Amazon has various services. So at least some overview we should always have. Okay, so sometimes we need an alternative. Suppose I do not want a VM, so what is the alternative? We can go with AWS Lightsail, Fargate, okay, ECS or EKS. Suppose depending on the need, we can have Amazon S3 storage. Okay, uh, this is for object storage, but due to some reason if we need a disk, then we can go for EBS. If we need a file share, then we can go with Amazon EFS. Okay, similarly there are various other options available and various services provided by AWS. Okay, now we will start with the proper labs and all. Okay, so I just want to know who is not having an AWS account now, or everyone is having the AWS account.